show you today. It's called Pepperchini Roast. And there's lots of ways you can serve it. We're going to talk about the sides later on. You can serve it as sandwiches, serve it over spaghetti squash that's been prepared. I usually serve it with green beans. Sometimes when I serve it as with sandwiches, I serve it with chips and pickles, sort of a lighter lunch type meal you would have. But for now, I'm just going to show you how I prepare the meat. I'm going to show you the recipe in just a minute, and on the recipe it skips one step that I have come to really like because it adds flavor to the meat. So you're going to need, for this first step, preparing the meat, you're going to need a chuck roast. Of course, I have used a pork roast before as well, but my family really likes the chuck roast. And you're going to need 1 jar of pepperoncinis. Now the recipe's called pepperchini. I'm not sure how we came up with that, but they're called pepperoncinis. The jar I have with me right now is actually sliced pepperoncinis. And I like it because it's quicker and I can just dump the peppers in. They're already ready, prepared. But you can buy them whole and chop off the stems, and it works the same way. Just remember that if they are whole and you just chop off the stem, that all of those little white seeds that are in there is what gives it more spice. So if you throw them in whole, it's going to be a little bit hotter, and some of you may like that, but my family doesn't really like that too much. So, first step that is not included in the recipe that I'm going to show you is to salt and pepper one side of your roast. I'm not even touching the roast at all, getting my hands dirty. Just going to keep it in the container, salt and pepper it. I have already heated a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of this pan because I'm putting it on like a medium heat here to give it a good sear. It's already heated up, so I'm going to take my roast and with the side I had the salt and pepper on, I'm going to put that side down into the pan. Alright, then I'm going to take my salt and pepper and put it on the other side of the roast. And the reason I like this step is because it locks in those flavors. It sort of gives it a good sear on both sides. In no means are we really cooking the roast right now. It's just browning the outside edges of both sides of the roast and getting the salt and pepper to stick to the roast. The recipe that I'm going to show you actually says just to put the roast straight in the crock pot with the juice, some extra water, add a little salt and pepper and go. And it does work very well, and if you're in a hurry, it works great. But I have found that if I skip this step of browning both sides with the salt and pepper, that I end up adding salt and pepper to the meat after I cook it in the crock pot. So either way you really want to do that. I'm going to give it a turn over here. You can see, hopefully, one side's browning. And then the other side, we're going to give it a few seconds on there. On that side, maybe a minute or two on that side. First learned about this recipe out in California. I believe it was when we went out for spiritual leadership retreat. Star and Day and I went out to sing, and we were invited over with a large group of people to Dr. Paul Chappell's house, and this is what they served us, because this is a super meal, quick meal to serve when you're having a large group of people. They just had shredded the meat up after it was thoroughly cooked, and I guess lots of people made it and brought it and made up a bunch of sandwiches to serve. The only thing you might want to think about is that this can be a less economical meal. So I usually try to buy the roast when it's on sale and put it in the freezer and keep them for when I want to serve this to a big group of people or to the whole family. So now we can take our roast from the pan and I'm going to take it straight to the crock pot. Nothing is in my crock pot right now, just this roast. And then I'm going to take my jar of peppercinis, open it up. I'm going to pour half of the juice from the jar, and I'm going to actually get rid of it. Because remember, there's a lot of spice in that juice. And I don't want to use it all because my family doesn't like it that spicy. But you can dump the entire jar with all the heat in it into the crock pot. So I am using, because my family likes it, all of the pepperoncinis with half of the juice from the jar. I'm just pouring it on top of my roast. Then I'm going to take extra water, enough water to cover the roast all the way up. I'm going to turn on my crock pot, put the lid on, and since it's first thing in the morning, I'm going to cook it for 8 hours on low. Of course, if you're in a hurry or you want to serve it for lunch, you can always put it on high 4 or 5 hours, and it works just as well. But for today, I'm going to put it on low for 8 hours. It is not thoroughly cooked if a fork does not easily go into the meat. Here's the recipe for you. All right, so while our peppercini roast is cooking in the crock pot, I'm going to show you 2 ways that you can serve your peppercini roast. The first way is what I mentioned earlier, the first way I ate them, which was in sandwich form. We like the Hawaiian rolls. They're really, really soft, but they are small, so you can buy the hoagie buns and use it that way. What we do if we're serving it on rolls or hoagie buns is split the bun in half, coat both sides with a little bit of mayonnaise, and then we put the meat on, serve it as a sandwich. Easy enough. But if you want to have a healthier option, we also like to serve the peppercini roast with spaghetti squash. There are so many great recipes for cooking spaghetti squash. So find your favorite recipe, whether it's microwave or oven, and get started. Here's one of my favorites. Cheesy spaghetti squash is out of the oven. It's time to pull the spaghetti squash out from the edges and mix in all that cheesy goodness with the spaghetti squash. See how it comes out? Looks a lot like spaghetti, huh? Pretty neat. Mixing it all together with the cheese. Make sure you get all the way to the edge so you just have the shell left of each one of the spaghetti squashes. This is what it looked like when it first came out of the oven. And this is more or less what it's going to look like. I have a little bit more work to do on it, but once it's all pulled out of the spaghetti squash. I like to put a little bit of that on the plate. Serve it up with some peppercini roast. This is how I do the roast. Now the roast has to be just basically falling apart. Then I take it out, put it in a container, and mix it all up. Looks a lot like barbecue. It has all the little green pepperoncinis in it. I should say pepperoncinis in it. And take a little portion of that, put it alongside or on top of the spaghetti squash. Of course, usually we have bigger portions than this, but serve up a little green beans with that. And that's what's for supper.